Welcome to Culture Clash Parenting, the podcast where laughter meets learning on the wild ride of raising kids in foreign lands. Join us, two Atlantic crossing moms with over a decade of parenting wisdom now under our belts. From navigating language barriers to blending traditions, we've got you covered with heartwarming tales and practical tips. If you're a parent far from home, feeling exhausted from juggling multiple cultures, or maybe you're eyeing that international move but feeling a bit daunted, you're in the right place. We're here to sprinkle some joy, share some laughs, and remind you that you're not alone on this adventure. So settle in, grab a cup of tea or wine, no judgment, and join us as we navigate the intricacies of parenting in a world that's anything but familiar. Get ready for a dose of empathy, a dash of humor, and a whole lot of love. Let's dive into this beautiful mess of raising kids in a different culture together.
Hello, and welcome to episode 7 of the Culture Clash Parenting Podcast. Happy New Year, everyone. It's 2025, and we have to disclaimer right up front here. We have not talked at all in the last 2 weeks because holidays, kids. You were traveling too, Marisa, so maybe we'll hear a little bit about that. But we're here. We want to record this episode for you because we want to start the new year off with you and for you, and we've got some exciting new episodes lined up for the rest of the year too. So tune in to follow along. And here we go. Let's talk about New Year's Eve and how it's celebrated in France, Germany, the United States, around the world, different cultures, different religions. Let's see what we've got. What did you guys do? Marisa, what did you do?
I love it. We were joking before we logged on, like, did you make it up till midnight?
Barely.
So we, like you said, we were traveling. We spent the week between Christmas and New Year's, which was also Hanukkah this year, in Greece, which was really, really nice. Away from social media, away from I even left my computer behind, which I have never done before. So it was a real holiday. And then we got back on New Year's Eve, and we always do, as you know, Astrid, make it to midnight because I have a New Year's baby. So my oldest was born on New Year's Day, and so we always like to make sure that we're awake at midnight to wish him a happy birthday and celebrate with him before we call it a day. Before we call it a day.
A year before you call it a year.
So we celebrated. He had a friend over, and we do fondue chinoise, which is just where you have meat cut really thin in thin slices, and then you have a pot of bouillon, and you cook the meat in the pot and we also cook vegetables and stuff. And then so you're sort of making your own meal. It's a little bit like hibachi, but with soup. And then you have the soup at the end. And that's our sort of traditional go-to New Year's Eve meal. And
even though it's not the Chinese New Year,
even though we have Chinese friends who are like, this is not what fondue is like for us. We cook it a different way. But yes, it's Sean's family. That's how they were taught fondue chinoise was in Switzerland. So that's kind of become a recipe. And the kids love it because everybody gets to cook the meat to their own liking. And we make lots of sauces, and it's like fondue. Like everybody is like sitting around the table, dipping into the middle. And so it's a very fun, connected meal. And you have to pay attention because you don't want to spill that hot soup on anyone. So that's what we did. And we did make it up till midnight. How about you? What did you guys do? Did you make it up to midnight with the little
Yeah,
one?
we did make it up to midnight, barely, but we did. Um, we had uh, James's dad was over for dinner, and I made the hop and John. We had shared the recipe or a link to the recipe recently on one of our episodes because of the black-eyed peas being one of the many symbols for prosperity and good luck in the new year. So I made that, and I actually used my own bone broth that I made a couple days before that as a base this year, and it was definitely better than last year when I used just the canned version. So I can definitely recommend that. And then, oh, we went ice skating with the little one. We didn't have the bigger kids this year, so we went ice skating with the little one. And a friend of mine from France was in town, so she went too. And because every time in our town there's an indoor ice rink, and on New Year's it's a big New Year's Eve skate in the evening, and then they used to right afterwards do fireworks outside of that Redplex, but either we left too early this year because the little one was too tired to skate, or um, they no longer do it. I'm not really sure, but anyway, we missed the fireworks. But we skated, went home, had dinner. Um, then James' dad left, but we did make it up to midnight.
That sounds super fun. How does that how does that differ from the pre-children days of yore? We were talking before about how old we're getting. Like back, back in when you were a kid, what were some of the like the New Year's traditions that you celebrate that you did in Germany, um, like within your family, but then also like German ones that you celebrated?
Well, those are two different questions. Back when you were a kid, or back when we were young, because
Good point.
I do remember pre-children. I remember partying on New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
Um, but when I was a kid in Germany, there's um, the one thing that's very constant in Germany is that show Dinner for One that's always on New Year's Eve, and it's this old lady. She is at a table, seated at a table with empty chairs, and the butler um, serves her. But somehow, I think he's taken the place of some of her deceased friends, maybe, and like he has to keep toasting with her. And in the end, the butler is completely drunk. But so that's just the quick story. It's a black and white film, and it's always on New Year's Eve, and it's always in the background wherever you go.
Oh, that.
So, and then one of the big other traditions that I remember as a kid is lead pouring. Like you actually have water and you heat up um, the metal and the lead, and well, I guess these days it's because lead got kind of a bad rap there. But when I was a little
Probably
kid,
don't want to be pouring
back
lead in
when
your house anymore.
yeah, back when we were allowed to play with lead and mercury and all of that, we you would heat it up and drip it into cold water, and it would what's the word? Coagulate?
Hmm?
Congelate?
Yeah,
What's the word?
coagulate.
Congeal?
Geo, all the same.
What is it? Anyway, they would make different shapes, and you could read symbols for the new year out of it. It's a fun game, and
I love
I do
that.
think
And when you had told me that, because Google and Facebook listen to every conversation you have, it popped up into, I messaged you the next day, and because it had popped up in my Instagram feed, and apparently and lead pouring is an Orthodox Jewish tradition as well amongst the certain Hasidic populations. And so I was like, wait, is this what you're talking about? Esther, this lead pouring? Like it turns out Jews do it too. So I think it's really interesting, just another one of those, yeah,
it's
tradition,
intercultural interface.
intercultural, interfaith tradition that, um, yeah, and thank you, Google, for listening to my conversation.
Wow, the one time we're thanking them.
One time
Um,
I'm thankful. Um,
but I
I
would
think
love
that's
to hear.
amazing. I think that's super cool. So like, and then did you keep like the lead? Do you keep the lead shape for the rest of the year?
Ooh, I don't know. Maybe some people did, maybe some people didn't. I don't remember.
Okay.
It's been too long since the last time I did that. But I do remember shooting off a ton of fireworks on New Year's back in Germany, but somehow we've never really done that too much here. And we have to, here you have to drive out of the city in order to even purchase them, I believe. But I would do want to know if we have any listeners from anywhere else. Have you ever heard of lead pouring, or is it something that's in your culture or your religion, something that you grew up with? We'd love to know if anybody else but Hasidic Jews and Germans do this for New Year's or any other time to celebrate.
Totally. Um, I love that. And yeah, you're right. There is a big difference between what we did when we before kids and what we did when we were kids. Um, I'm gonna have to find dinner for one. I think in the States growing up, I just always remember having Dick Clark's New Year's Eve party on, like Rockin' Eve, like um was always playing in the background, right? With uh and now is it like Anderson Cooper? I forget who does it now, or Andy Cohen. Like it's still going on. They still have it, where there's like musical guests and then like the hosts that are interviewing people, and they're all in Times Square. And growing up in New York City, I never went to New York to Times Square on New Year's Eve. My cousin did once. Um, it just never was like was never something that I was interested in doing, but I do remember always like you'd always have the TV on, and when like the countdown started and the ball started to drop, like everybody would get quiet and watch the ball drop. And I talked to my parents this year and they're no longer in the city, but they were watching the ball drop in Times Square from their house
Because
in upstate.
that's just what you do.
That's
That
what you
that's
do.
But I
Yeah.
know a lot of people, even here in the Midwest, that will turn on the TV to watch the ball drop. Of course, that's an hour ahead of our time.
Right. Like, yeah, it is. Now I can go to bed. The ball has dropped into New York City.
You can totally fool your children with that, yes.
I know with being so far ahead, like it was really funny this year. Like, I was sending New Year's messages when it was midnight here because I knew I was going to bed. And one of my friends who lives in Chicago, she was like, "We still have a while to go," and I was like, "I know, but by the time it's like New Year's Eve there, I'm going to be sleeping." So I just was thinking about you and wanted to say Happy New Year. Um, but yeah, it's always they're like, yeah, I know you still have a lot more of your day left. Um,
So once the ball has dropped, then then what is the first thing that you would do in New York?
so we talked about like so sings Auld Lang Syne, and there's usually the champagne toast. I feel like it's very much like that scene in Harry Met Sally, like you kiss the person who's close to you, especially when you're older, right? Not when you're a kid. When you're a kid, you might like
Hopefully.
be forced to hug your sibling. You're like, um, but like the one time you start off the year being nice to your sibling, and then that's it for the rest of the year. No, I'm kidding. But
But that's just because you just got done singing All Lang
that's just
Syne.
yeah, exactly. You've just gotten done singing Old Lang Syne. Um, and yeah, and there's like the champagne toast, and then like I mean, certainly in New York City, like you always had fireworks. So there were fireworks usually in Central Park or over the Hudson River on the west side. And
But did you set up your own?
no,
No.
not in the city. Like I think the police would come and get you. I don't even know if it's legal. I don't think it's legal to buy fireworks in New York State. I know like where my parents live now, people drive to Pennsylvania to buy fireworks because you
Right.
can get them there. Um,
Yeah, like I
we
said, we have to drive out of the city to buy
yeah,
fireworks.
I certainly not in New York City. You couldn't. We always did sparklers, like those, little ones that you could do.
Yeah, very familiar with those. That landed me in the hospital when I was like 2 or 3. So I hate sparklers.
You're like, no, thank you.
I got no, seriously, I got a metal thing from a sparkler in my eye. I was
Oh my God.
two, I think almost 3 years old, and we spent the night in the hospital then after New Year's Eve. Um,
That does not sound like a fun. As a parent now, like I'm like that would be like, oh my God, what I did. Um,
oh, my kids have never been allowed to even stand near somebody holding a sparkler.
I get
I'm,
that.
I'm serious.
I wouldn't. Those things can be really scary. Yeah, and here it's funny because here, so there's always the fireworks here in Bordeaux, and this year we actually we like when we were in Greece, we heard that they were that in Athens they were going to do a drone show instead of fireworks because they have a lot of pets and like stray cats. They have these like feral cats that everybody takes care of, these neighborhood cats, and so they're like everywhere. But yeah, so like there were signs everywhere saying like to protect the pets, that they were going to do a drone show, and so
Interesting.
we were actually kind of surprised when we heard the fireworks go off here, because we were like, oh, maybe everywhere in Europe is doing it. And Bordeaux had done a drone show in June for the Fête du Vin, for the wine festival. So it actually surprised us when the fireworks went off. And then we live in a part of town where a lot of our neighbors had fireworks, and they were like at like the park just down the street setting them off, and you could like see them from our window. And it was like, those are very, very close. Like, somebody get a bucket of water just in case. Um,
Oh, we always did fireworks, and I remember as a child, we would go out the next morning and find the remnants of them, like the rockets really was what we were interested in. But we would pick them out of the yard or the field, or yeah, and whoever collected the most was some sort of winner, even though it was trash. It was weird.
that how your parents got you to learn to like clean up after yourselves. Go back and count
Something like that.
who can find the most rockets. That's a good way for the parents to sleep off their hangovers while the kids entertain themselves. A
Nice.
good idea.
Hadn't
I'm gonna
thought of
remember
that.
that for next year.
I'm gonna need to buy rockets for next year. That's such a bad idea.
Um, So you mentioned the Hopping Joe beans and stuff, and we talked on the last episode about these sort of customs around food, like for luck. What are some of the what are some of the symbols of luck in around the New Year's in Germany?
Yeah, that's right. I had mentioned that. In, of course, everybody knows the four-leaf clover is big symbol of luck, right? If I type a message to somebody on my iPhone, it will pop up, and I say good luck, it will pop up a four-leaf clover. But we also in Germany, what's super big is the chimney sweep, and I don't know about France, but they actually like every year in Germany, the chimney sweep comes and inspects your chimney. Like they'll knock on the door, they'll they make an appointment, or they're like, well, if you're here, I'll just come do this now. But it's mandatory so that you don't
Yeah,
have
me too.
right a house explosion or whatever happens when the chimney isn't cleaned. Which we actually I wish they would do something like that in the States. We just a couple of days ago here in town, a house actually exploded due to like a faulty gas something, and was it a faulty gas line maybe or so? But the house exploded, the whole block was shut off. The mother and the 3 kids, um, I think it was mother and 3 kids, father and 3 kids, I forget, but 4 people were in the house and they barely were able to escape. They all got out, but the house is gone. So maybe some inspections might not be such a bad idea.
Yeah.
And that's probably why the chimney sweep, little figurines that you could see and buy all around New Year's Eve in Germany, those are a symbol for good luck because they stop your chimney from creating whatever carbon monoxide. I don't even know what can happen, but
That's so funny
so that's
because
that's
I think it is a European thing because I mean in Mary Poppins there's the whole like
the
scene
chimney
where they talk about
chimney.
a chimney sweep is good luck. And yeah, here in France you have to by law have your chimneys inspected every year and cleaned every year. Um
Yeah,
and yeah,
I
so
think that's not a
and it
bad
makes
thing.
sense. It's good luck. They're cleaning your house and getting the dirt out too, right? Like it's also a good way of starting off the year with a clean chimney. Um
But yeah, those come in little chocolate figurines too. So if you if you are having a party for New Year's in Germany, a lot of times that's like a centerpiece decoration where everybody will then or on the little plates there will be a little chocolate um chimney sweep
next to the
or
smoking
a
man.
chocolate thing. Like,
Next to the Rocketman.
no, but usually next to the pig. So a pig is also a symbol for good luck. However, that's not always chocolate. That's also very often marzipan for some reason.
So it's interesting you say that, and I have to do some research after this episode because, when you mentioned the pig, um, here there's the truffle pig, right? The pig that goes and searches out the truffles. And somebody was just telling me about the truffle pig for New Year's, and I was like, what? Like, what's this truffle pig? So there's something and I need to do more research about it. Or if you're listening to this and you know, like if the truffle pig is a symbol of good luck here in France. Um, the things that
Yeah, drop us a line. Let us know.
yeah, let us know. Let us know. Um, yeah, it's funny. Again, I think because Owen's birthday is the first, we've always, I haven't paid as much attention to what the cultures and traditions are around New Year's for French people. So like when we've gone to when we've been invited to friends' houses for New Year's, it's usually around food, and there's usually like a leg of lamb, or we talked about this in the episode about foods around Christmas and Hanukkah. Um, Seafood is a big thing, like oysters are a big thing here.
But
Um,
not crabs or
Not the
lobster
things
because
that
you
move
don't
sideways
want to
or
go
backwards. Here it's everything.
right. You
Here
want
they
to go
have the
forward.
crabs for sure, crab legs. I've seen shrimp. They have like a whole seafood tower that you can buy here. Foie gras is a big thing here too. But yeah, there's like the rich stuff, right? Like the things that, so the rich foods, the fatty foods, the things that, like
Help you build a base layer for the winter for January, February.
yes, slash like are supposed to bring in like that idea of abundance, right? I'm like a noble person. I get to eat pate. Like um
I
and
love
then
it
when
though.
we were in Greece, one of the things that Sean's friend was telling us that their tradition is they take a pomegranate and they throw it at the door of the house. And this is also one of those things that's really interesting because a pomegranate is a symbol of fertility in Judaism as well. And so pomegranates around, like you eat pomegranates around Rosh Hashanah, which is the Jewish New Year, right? Um, and so I was like, oh, this is really cool. Like again, another one of those like cultures intersecting. But so they take the pomegranate and they throw it at the door with the intention of the pomegranate cracking so that you can open it and it like
Uh-huh.
reveals the like abundance within
Of
the
the seeds.
pomegranate with all the seeds and all that stuff, and it's like a symbol of the abundance that you're calling into your house, to your household for the year. So I thought that was really cool. um
Interesting.
and we actually had a pomegranate and in our refrigerator, and I was like it was like yesterday I opened the refrigerator and it was still there, and I was like, damn, we forgot. Don't like we forgot to throw the pomegranate at the wall or at the door, not the wall. Don't throw it at the wall because it'll probably stain, and then you'll be really unhappy for the year. But if you throw it at the door, outside.
I have
Um,
to say that at the door it would stain too, no?
Probably, but it's outside, so who cares? And then it was funny because my kids were like, "Wait, do you throw it like hard enough to like smack?" But the idea is that you just throw it hard enough to crack the pomegranate so that you can open it. You're not actually destroying the pomegranate. Because, my baseball playing son was like, "That seems really dangerous. Like, I could break the window in the door." And I was like, "That is not good luck. Do not do that. Do not break the door of the house."
Well, especially since it's then glass breaking, and I thought it was just China that's good luck when it breaks.
Yeah.
But it for the pomegranate, so does everybody throw one, or is it just one per family? Because if everybody throws one, do they then open it up and like count the seeds, and the ones that have the most seeds have more abundance than the others? I don't know. I'm asking.
I love this. I think we're creating a competitive game. Who wins the most? Who's the luckiest person in the house?
There you
The
go.
way he described it was like the way he described it, it sounded like it was just one that like you throw at the house. But I don't know. That's a good question if you're listening to this in Greece and you know the answer, or if this is your tradition. Um, just
Yeah, please send us an email.
send us an email and let us know. Like, is there a competition?
Well,
This
there
is
is with
why
the
Asher and I are friends because
leftovering.
we're both the like, who's the luckiest? Who wins the competition of like, who's the best kid in the house? Mom of the Year award. It's obviously
Oh,
mom.
cool.
Mom always gets just if you're listening, whoever has the most, you have to make sure that you lie. And mom is the one that has at least one more. She's at least that much, at least one more pomegranate seed luckier than you are. If you want to win the Child of the Year award, let mom win the pomegranate seed.
Yeah, but then as the mom, you're automatically going, oh, you have fewer. Here, let's switch.
Oh,
Oh, poor
the
baby.
gift and the curse of being a mom. Um,
Oh.
so these are like I think one of the things that you and I have been talking about and we're like, really excited for in 2025 is speaking of pomegranate seeds and all the different all the abundance. Like we have an abundance of ideas for this year. We have, like you said earlier, Astrid, like a lot of different uh we already have a lineup of different ideas for podcasts, episodes. This year, we also want to bring in guests to come and speak about their experiences and to share their cultures and their language. Um, and if you are listening and you have ideas, we would love to be even more abundant and hear your ideas and what you would like to hear from this podcast because we are more abundant together. So a lot of exciting things coming in 2025, I hope for each of us individually and us as a podcast. And this is our 19th year as friends. So I don't know what that is in terms of like what gift I give you. Like it's not our diamond anniversary, but 19-year must be something special. Um, but yeah, I think
Exactly a diamond anniversary.
yeah. One of these days we're gonna get to our diamond anniversary and be like, how have we been friends this long? Um, but yeah, it's
So what you could give us for that 19th year anniversary is like and share our podcast.
there you go. I love it. Like and share the podcast. Send us a message and let us know uh what your good luck symbols are in your culture, what they are in your family, um, what they are for you personally, because sometimes we have different ones than our culture and our families. And
Also, your traditions. I would love to know if you have a movie like a dinner for one or watching the ball drop, if there's something on TV that you turn on, or if it's more just in the family and you leave all your social media off in your TV and all you have is your watch to count down to midnight.
yeah,
I'd love
yeah, absolutely. And also we would love to hear how you say Happy New Year in your language. So in French, we would say Bonne année, or they also say Meilleurs voeux, which just means best wishes um, in German.
Bonne année is like good year, right?
Good year,
And
yeah.
yeah, in German it's uh frohes neues Jahr, which is a like a I guess happy new year or froh is to froh sein is to be um happy, joyful. So more like a joyful new year, I guess. Um and then they often the mayor will we do too. We say alles Gute zum neuen Jahr, like all good for the new year. And I think we do that in English too, though. We say, best wishes for the new year.
Yeah.
It's all kind of along the same lines. I, I think you would have to have a really terrible relationship with somebody if you're not wishing them the best. So,
Even if you don't like them, you're like, bonne année.
yeah, I'm gonna curse you for the new year. No.
Yeah. It was
Um,
actually really, I will say, one of the things that was beautiful being in Greece. And so if any Greek people are listening, I was really, really filled with gratitude and love being there. It's so every single person we met and even like strangers on the street were just and like I said we left on New Year's Eve but everybody was wishing each other it was like a happy new year like as soon as Christmas was over because they were saying like happy Christmas on the 25th and 26th and then starting on the 27th people were just like when you'd see them they'd be like oh happy new year and everyone just had this very convivial, like friendly, welcoming attitude towards tourists, which as somebody who grew up in a very tourist driven place was not was not the environment that I grew up in. And and New Yorkers can be really nice, but there's just so many tourists. You get to that place where you're just like, oh, go home already. But there was just such this like I felt this like real joy and excitement around the new year. And so I think I'm stepping into 2025 with that energy of really believing as uncertain and crazy as these times seem, that there are really beautiful, wonderful, heartfelt people in this world who genuinely, even if they don't know you, are just sharing that sense of best wishes for the new year. So um, that's the energy I came back with. That's the energy that I'm stepping into 2025 with. And um and Astrid, you're one of the people in my life that makes me excited to wake up and go, yay, there's beautiful people in this world. And that I get to talk to on a regular basis. So happy New Year, my friend.
Happy New Year to you. And I, yeah, I love talking to you every weekend. We took last week off because of the holidays or the last 2 weeks, but I can't wait to start our weekly calls again so we can prep for this podcast and bring this all to you guys who are listening.
Yeah. So thank you so much
Happy
for
New Year to
listening. We'll
everyone.
see you in a couple of weeks with our next episode. And like Astrid said, don't forget to click like and subscribe and share this with anyone that you think is interested. And yeah, let us know your traditions and how you say Happy New Year.
All righty.
Bye.
Bye.